Everyone's Mazzy here, and this is Whack-A-Mole number 108. Those of you new viewers, Whack-A-Mole is where I randomly select 5 records. I'm going to do 10 today because I do have a part of the Coleman collection below me. These are the records that I'm keeping. I think I'm still going through them, so I'll pick 5 from my shelves and 5 from the Coleman collection that will soon be integrated into my collection, and we'll see how this goes. So I randomly choose these records. Whack-A-Mole number 108. Thanks for watching. Let's do it. I gotta just look down because I want to trip over records. It's dangerous. I do have liability insurance, but 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, the first one is Medicine Show by the Dream Syndicate. Steve Wynn's outfit, produced by pretty good producer, Sandy Pearlman, who was producing a lot in the late 70s and the 80s. And did he do Blue Oyster Cult, I'm thinking? Am I wrong about that? Psychedelic dirge, post-punk, but more moody. My friend Brooks and I saw them at the Warfield around the time of this album. This album came out in 1980, I believe, 80 or 81, and it's got a great song on here called John Coltrane Stereo Blues. They end up doing these sort of long, jammy, psychedelic, dirgy jams, and a really good mood in this band. The wonderful thing about them, about 5-6 years ago, they reformed and they regrouped, and have done 3 pretty wonderful albums since. Steve Wynn-led band. Steve Wynn has always also been a part of the baseball project with Peter Buck and Mike Mills from REM, and several other people. It's kind of an emerging band of a couple albums I have of the baseball project. So this is a promo copy I got back around 81. Medicine Show, Daddy's Girl, Still Holding On To You, the Dream Syndicate. Curtis Mayfield Roots music. This, I believe, is his second solo album, I'm thinking. This has Get Down, Keep On Keeping On, Beautiful Brother of Mine. I'm not as familiar with this. I mean, I do like Roots. I'm more familiar with Curtis, but I do like this album. Of course, Curtis Mayfield, great producer. Most people know, who don't know his first solo albums, know him obviously from the soundtrack to Superfly and with the Impressions. So there you go, Curtis Mayfield. On Curtain, Custom, his own label. The Peter Gabriel album, known as the Melt album, because most of these albums, up until maybe So, I believe, Peter Gabriel just had self-titled records, so they got nicknames. This one was Melt. This is a later edition. This is a double 45 RPM, where he sings the entire album in German, the Deutsche edition. And this has Games Without Frontiers, I believe, and everything is in German as Biko. Yep, Biko's in it. Really wonderful record. Nitty Gritty Dirt Band. One of the first popular country rock bands, but they were more on the country side of things. And obviously, was it Goodbye Charlie's Got the Blues? They did a great hit of the late 60s of Mr. Bojangles, the Jerry Jeff Walker song. And of course, the magnificent opus of the triple record set of Will a Circle Be Unbroken, that brought sort of new country with old traditional, like Mother Maybelle Carter and Doc Watson and so many great figures. That's a record, if you're into bluegrass, country, newgrass merged in with traditional, the Scruggs brothers, or Earl Scruggs, that is a record to check out. But this is Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, and this is Dirt, Silver, and Gold, a comp, double record comp that came out. Is it a double record? Maybe it's another triple record. It is another triple record. I totally forgot about that. So this is kind of an overview, anthology-like record. Here they look like the Residents without the eyeball hats, don't they? Those of you who know the Residents. And there's a lovely poster in here, United Artists Records, comp collection. But you can pretty much find this record fairly cheap. It's a lovely comp, a lovely collection, and newgrass, bluegrass, traditional, not really rock and roll at all, but it's got a folky, more of a folky appeal to it. And lastly, of the first 5 from my collection is Case, Lang, and Veers, and that is Katie Lang, Nico Case, and Veers. What's her name? I'm so sorry. Laura Veers. This is a good album. This is, again, a merging of folky country-esque rockers with, the beautiful, intense Katie Lang's voice. What a great singer she is. One of my favorite female vocalists that came from like a punk country sensibilities early on her first records to sort of an ingenue album she did with Owen Bradley, who produced Patsy Cline, and kind of channel some of that music. Really lovely records. Obviously, Nico Case's records. I have all her albums. I love her. And I think Laura Veers, I remember, I think I first got turned on to her when she was on the Decemberists album, the duet of Yankee something or other, Clang Yankee, whatever, the Blankley Reaper, Clangy, whatever it's called. And I loved her voice on that duet with the lead singer of the Decemberists. So this is a nice album. They did a tour backing this up, which I did not see. But this is Nico Case, Laura Veers, and Katie Lang. Came out about 4 years ago, I think. 2018, something like that. Okay, 5 records from the Coleman collection. They're low. Let me just give you a little take here. Let's see. It's all this stuff, for the most part, and over there. So I'm going to be a little out of visuals, but I'll try to keep my head up so you know I'm not cheating and I'm honest. I just want to don't back in anything. I'm going to take 2 from this rack here, or this row. I'm going to take 1 from here and 2 from over here. 2. Okay. I just showed this, I think, didn't I? Sukiyaki and other Japanese hits. This is one of those few Japanese songs that kind of came over across to our shores and became somewhat of a hit in America. Kayu Sakamoto's Sukiyaki, Capitol Records, sitting on a Chinese, almost like a takeout box. Obviously, it's an Apple box, but pop hits, Japanese pop in America. This was in the mid 60s, I think. I'm thinking 64, 65, 66. I don't remember exactly. Coleman had 2 copies of this. So this is a fun record, actually. Seriously, pretty fun record. Okay. Coleman is a very big fan of Linda Ronstadt. He's actually friends with Linda, and they were pretty close friends over the last 5-6 years. And Coleman also had been a fan, as I have, with Linda Ronstadt, going back from her Capitol country rock days, those great series of country albums that weren't as popular until Heart Like a Wheel hit big, produced by Peter Asher. This is a promo copy of Simple Dreams. I think this might be a white label promo, which is kind of nice because I love white label promos. Yes, it is. And of course, she's a great interpreter, not a songwriter. One of the greatest voices in pop music and the biggest selling female artist of the 1970s. It's got It's So Easy, the Buddy Holly songs, Carmelita, a great song on the self-titled debut Asylum album Warren Zevon wrote. I Will Never Marry, again produced by Peter Asher. Got Blue Bayou, the Roy Orbison song, Tumblin' Dice by Mick Jagger, obviously, and Keith Richards, the Stones. Now, I love these series of records, and I think I love the way she does these ballads, and she really championed a lot of great songwriters, from Lowell George to Ry Cooder to Randy Newman to Warren Zevon as well. And then she did, I think Peter Asher pushed her into the rock stuff. That'll Be the Day she does here. I think the Tumblin' Dice actually version I like, and there's a version on YouTube of her singing Tumbling Dice with the Stones or with Mick Jagger. It's actually a fun version. And then she does one of her albums, Living in the USA, the Chuck Berry song, which I'm not a big fan of. She does the rock and roll stuff good, but I think it's not necessary, and I prefer when she does the ballads. And if you haven't seen the documentary on her, it's really wonderful, because she also does, she really was able to she had the leverage to push and do what she wanted to musically as well. When she wanted to do an album all in Spanish, the label kind of was leery about it, didn't want it. Of course, she does the record in Spanish, which is a beautiful record. So if you see her Spanish singing record, you should check it out, because it's lovely. Huge hit, massive hit, one of her biggest sellers around the world, of course. And then she did off Broadway, or actually at the Joseph Papp's musical. What's the musical? She did, not Three Penny Opera, Pirates of Penzance, and did a run of that, which was, pretty intense. Her vocal styles and vocal ranges and the types of different genres she can weave in and out to is nothing less than astounding. And, a lot of her records you can buy cheap still, but you really should get them. They're beautifully produced. They sound really great. Then she did, I believe, 3 albums of standards early on, when a lot of people were not doing standards, with Nelson Riddle's arranging, the great Nelson Riddle, who's worked with Ella Fitzgerald and Frank Sinatra, and just she does her own take on those songs, and it's really lovely stuff. So, promo copy on Asylum Records, white label promo of Linda Ronstadt's Simple Dreams. Now, this is something I showed too, because I kind of been going through these albums. This is a very unusual copy that I'd never seen. This is not an original. Well, this is a early 70s edition of the Jefferson Airplanes, After Bathing at Baxter's. I've never seen it as a non-gatefold with this white cover instead of the red, white, and blue. Big fan of Jefferson Airplane, of course. This 1968 album is amongst my favorites. And it's their most experimental and most psychedelic in some ways. Two Heads is on here, which is just a really great percussive song, and great vocals by almost said Janis Joplin, by Grace Slick, and of course a beautiful tune called Martha, penned by Paul Kantner, I believe, and that's one of my favorite songs on this album. Those are probably 2 of the more accessible songs. There's some wild stuff on here, Spare Change. Won't You Try Saturday Afternoon's kind of a cool thing that ends the album. But I love this album, amongst their best and psychedelic and experimental with accessibility, 1968. Great record. I don't like to usually include corrections, insertions in these whack-a-moles, but After Bathing Baxter's did come out late, in November 1967, not 1968, as I said twice. So before you're commenting, I just thought I'd tell you that. Take care. And then this version, this is kind of interesting. I've never seen this version of it. Is this a UK? This is American, huh? This might be a record club. We've all seen Elton John's greatest hits, but this is volume 1 and 2, sleeved together in one single sleeve. So you got all the songs on one side in volume 2. So it's sort of a combo pack. I think my guess is, and I don't know this was exclusive to the record clubs, and it has all the hits on this MCA label. Not a favorite pressing time of MCA from my take. MCA had kind of wonky pressings for a while, I thought. I remember in the mid-'70s, like when Yellow Brick Road came out and Quadrophenia, Coleman and I worked together at a record store, and we had, those were huge albums. Our store alone probably had 500 copies initially, and we probably went through 50 to 75 that were bad and warped, and so it's not just a thing today of pressings being bad. Things used to go back then. In those days, though, stores were allowed to return all the bad stuff. So this is a great comp, and so I'm looking forward to check this out to see how it sounds, because I'm a little dubious about the sound of it, but this, you can't argue with the song selection. So, and then lastly, I pulled from here some classical records, and this is an audiophile pressing of Bartok Concerto for Orchestra, Chicago Symphony, Fritz Reiner. I know Bartok's music somewhat. I don't know this particular recording. This was a reissue of Living Stereo, and it's an audiophile. It was on the Classic label. Classic Records was one of the first great audiophile in the late 90s or the 2000s, I guess, 2000s. And, everything from classical to rock and roll to all these great Living Stereo before Analog Productions bought the label. But you can see their label serial number, their beautiful covers, beautiful records. This is where the audiophile thing started. I think when these first started coming out, they were about $25 to $30, so which seems like a bargain these days, because a lot of these, I don't know about this particular record, they go for 50, 75 on up, depending on the title of the classics. Like the classic Who, the classic Zeppelin albums go for quite a bit more. So that's the end of the Whack-A-Mole 5+5 from my collection, mixed in with the Coleman collection. Not just humor this time, but just good music. It's always good music. The library makes it for me. I can just pull what I want. So that's what I've been getting at with some of these videos, the state of my record collection, the state of my stereo, is just we have to enjoy this stuff. And I love enjoying this stuff. And these are great records. Thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. Subscribe if you want. What do you get out of it? When there's more of these videos. Take care. Mazzy loves you.